Morning, everyone. I'm just going to give it a couple of minutes for people to filter in. So we'll kick off in a minute. I'll just wait for people to join. Just giving it a second for people to filter in, and we'll kick off in a sec. Okay, let's get started. I can see a good number of people. Have filtered in now. So, just a little bit of housekeeping before we kind of get into everything. You are all on mute, and I don't think you have the ability to unmute yourselves. So if anyone has any questions, drop a message. There should be a Q&A button at the top of the screen that you can pop questions in, or maybe I think the chat may be working. So drop things in there, and I will either answer it via the chat or try and unmute you if we can. So welcome everybody, and Happy New Year. I think it's still acceptable to say that, isn't it? So thank you everyone for joining, and for anyone on the call, by the way, who doesn't know me already, my name is Daryl. I'm one of the pre-sales people focused on Red Hat at TD SYNNEX. So what we're going to do today is talk about a new service offering that we have, and it's called the Red Hat Enterprise Linux Estate Assessment. So what I want to do is kind of start by giving everybody some broad context around what we're doing and why, and then we should also have Dan on the call from Red Hat. Are you with us, Dan?
I'm here, Dal. Hopefully you can hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you. Good. So Dan's going to give us a couple of words because Dan has done an amazing job in getting us support from the Red Hat global team to pursue a pilot with Red Hat around this service. So once we've given you the kind of broad context and heard from Dan, we'll jump into more detail around, exactly what this service is, how it can help you make more money, how it helps you add value to your customer, and then help you to understand and identify what might make a good candidate for the service. So let's give you the big picture. What we see from our perspective in distribution is a couple of compounding challenges across the partner ecosystem. And really they're kind of driven by the fact that selling Red Hat technology can often get quite technical quite quickly. And what customers are looking for is a partner that can help them provide long-term value out of their technology investments. And the challenge is that not everybody has access to those experts that can help to deliver that value. And without the access to that expertise, it becomes a race to the bottom on margin. And without access to those experts, there's often opportunities that are left on the table that could otherwise be uncovered. So it probably isn't a huge surprise that there's a series of Forrester reports that are specifically focused on partners selling red technology. And it's no surprise that what they find is that partners who bundle services offerings and delivery expertise alongside their subscriptions earn between 2.5 times to 4.6 times the revenue per opportunity, while seeing their net margins grow to the region of 20 to 30%. So they're much, much more profitable. I would think a lot of you on this call have probably heard me talk about this before, but we kind of often say that in the UK market, we have two different types of partner. We have partners who are looking to build out a Red Hat practice within an existing business. They don't always have access to expertise in every single area. And then we have partners who are deeply, deeply skilled in, typically in a niche category. And so what we have done by working with the partners who are deeply, deeply skilled is we've aimed to solve those challenges by giving people access to those experts that can deliver the long-term value to your customer and can help you increase your revenue and margin in line with those Forrester reports. And so alongside any ad hoc services you might need, what we've done is we've created 3 repeatable services that are designed to help you deeply engage with your customer and either progress an opportunity or uncover more Red Hat opportunity on a renewal, for example. So the 3 that we currently have are the virtualization migration assessment. That is a lightweight, cost-effective assessment on migrating from VMware to OpenShift. We have the Ansible starter pack, which is all about getting customers started with Ansible by helping them to identify use cases and helping them to create a production-ready playbook. But then we also have what's the focus for today, which is the Red Hat Enterprise Linux Estate Assessment. So I think Red Hat Enterprise Linux is what Red Hat are known for. And I can guarantee that even if they don't currently buy it from you, your customers are using Red Hat Enterprise Linux. In fact, we generally see that 50 to 60% of the UK channel market is Red Hat Enterprise Linux. So for most of our customers, it is the majority of your renewal base already. And so what we have done is kept that in mind with designing this RHEL Estate Assessment. And so what it is essentially a tool that can help you to upsell from your renewal. So I want to give some extra context on what it actually is, and then we'll hear some stuff from Dan. So what the RHEL assessment is a multi-point assessment that covers both a customer's subscription health, but also the technical health of their real estate. And we look at everything from making sure that they've bought enough subscriptions, that they're spending money wisely on their subscriptions, that they're using the right models, all the way through to analyzing the configuration of their machines to make sure that those machines are secure, that they're getting the most out of the technology that they've bought, and that they're efficient in the way that you're using it. And there's a lot more to it, and I'll kind of go into detail on that shortly. But what the customer ultimately receives is a set of prioritized recommendations and a timeline if they want us to fix things for them, along with a longer term roadmap on how they can be more efficient in their use of RHEL. Alongside that, we do some work on the subscription side of things. So we do an assessment to make sure that they aren't over or under buying subscriptions. There aren't more effective models that they could use. And we've actually partnered with Red Hat on this as part of a pilot to be able to offer something called, or I'm calling it at least, the Compliance Assurance Program. And what that basically means is that Red Hat trust us enough to review a customer's subscriptions. And if we do so, and if they choose to allow us to tell Red Hat that the assessment's taking place, providing they're in line, they will be deprioritized from audit in the future. So before I go into any more detail, because there's a bit more to a lot of this, Dan, I wondered if you wanted to give us some words on Red Hat's perspective around the pilot.
Yeah, thanks, Darryl. And great to have so many on the call as well today. For those who don't know me from Red Hat at this point, I'm Dan. I'm the SEEP Global Ecosystem Program Leader. And my role at Red Hat is to essentially develop out beneficial programs for customers that leverage the partner ecosystem. So if we look at this program that we're talking about today and Darryl's covering, this started during the course of 2025, where TD Synnex and Red Hat sat down and went over what can be beneficial to customers, partners, distributors, and Red Hat. And what we looked at was, when there are the assessments which are being spoken about today performed, what else can be done that brings the customer benefit of proactively addressing any issues which arise in terms of their subscription usage. So that has led to what you're seeing today, which is in pilot form. It's about bringing confidence to the customers. It's about bringing a new route to market for customers in particular to almost identify through this program and then bring to Red Hat's attention for a different route to being treated in a different manner, so that they ultimately can close out any gaps which they have as part of this process. Now, it's a really exciting time to go ahead and announce that this is in a formal pilot stage. So that is in formal pilot now, because we're in 2026, and it has been since the start of Q4 in 2025. So any customers, any partners which are wanting to work with Darryl and the team to bring forward this approach to their customers, that is in an active pilot with Red Hat at this stage. And I think that's really important to highlight. And we're really excited to take this forward into 2026 and hopefully be extending this pilot as making it more of a theme for the route which Red Hat's taking to approach customers and approach and utilize the partner ecosystem which we have across the UK and Ireland. So Darryl, even more.
Yeah, I guess now is probably a good time to tell people how that actually works. So let's kind of dive into some more about the subscription assessment, what we do, and then what we're able to do as in conjunction with Red Hat as part of this pilot that we're operating. So what we are able to do is give a customer a complete overview of all of the different contracts that they have, because obviously we need that as a basis for working out what they're entitled to. And some people would see benefit in just that, right? Understanding what contracts they have with Red Hat. Once we've got a basis of what they're entitled to, we then run essentially a discovery exercise. It's an automated discovery exercise, and what we do is we find and discover any machines that customers have got that are running Red Hat Enterprise Linux. And we analyze those machines, and we are then able to provide them an overview of what they've got in different environments with different versions, alongside all of the paid add-ons that those machines may well be running. We analyze that to understand the subscription models, to make sure that they're using the most efficient way to subscribe to the software. And we then compare their usage against their contracts and carry out a right-sizing exercise to check that both they aren't buying too much and that they have enough subscriptions to cover their usage. And we highlight, of course, any issues with their usage or any non-compliance. We then provide them with an option to notify Red Hat that the subscription assessment has taken place. So at this point, they don't have to tell Red Hat at all, even if we find issues. It's up to them to notify Red Hat. If they do choose to notify Red Hat, they get the option to enter into the compliance assurance program. Now, to do that, they have to be squared away with their number of subscriptions, and so that, like, the subscriptions have got to be accurate. And to help them do that, we're able to offer them an amnesty on any non-compliance. Now, what that means is that if Red Hat were to audit a customer, they would look back 10+ years on non-compliance, and the customer would receive a bill for any usage during that time period. What we're able to do is limit that financial exposure to a maximum of 2 years. So by using the program, they're able to limit any kind of liability. And of course, if we don't find anything wrong, they are free to begin immediately getting the benefit of entering the compliance assurance program, which is that you are deprioritized from audit by Red Hat. And that benefit will last for a year. And to continue to receive it, the customer will need to run that assessment again and true up anything that wasn't quite right. So this program, as Dan mentioned, is designed for people that are trying to do the right thing, but they might need help to make sure that they're within the various different rules of subscriptions, which, when you're managing multiple different vendors, can get very complicated very, very quickly. What it isn't is a get out of jail free card for customers. So, if someone is under active review by Red Hat, they cannot enter into the compliance assurance program. We can carry out the assessment, but they cannot enter into the program. So, you know, we think that this is a pretty compelling offer, you know, especially considering all of the other bits that we're kind of yet to talk about. You know, and especially as, you know, we're kind of beginning to see some changes in Red Hat. I think Red Hat had the mick taken out of them in the past in terms of subscriptions, and are starting to wise up to that, right? You know, so for example, there was a change in Red Hat's terms recently in November 2025 that basically specifies that Red Hat can request a subscription consumption report from customers, you know, we're beginning to see investments into programs like this to try and help customers make sure that they are in line with Red Hat's subscription terms. And so what better way to do it than in a way that protects them, limits their liability, and is a route for them to return to compliance that's, you know, that's not going to slap them with a massive bill with 10 years look back. So that's the subscription component. Alongside the subscription assessment, we also run a technical assessment of their RHEL estate. And this looks at multiple different points. So for example, we'll do things like checking for common or known security exploits or exposures. We will review their performance and resource utilization to check that they haven't got any machines that are really struggling. They haven't got enough capacity, or maybe they've got loads of machines that are oversized, so they can right size their infrastructure and save some money there. We do things like check logs and errors to help find any issues that they may not be aware of, that you know, maybe giving them a risk of downtime or security exposure. So they might find issues with applications or the underlying infrastructure, for example. And we also review the configuration of the machines against kind of best practices, and provide advice on how customers can align with what are Red Hat's recommendations. So whilst we're doing that, we you know, we have to connect to all of their machines to gather information about them, and the engineers are working with engineers at customer. And what we're able to do is we're able to get an idea of how efficient a customer is being in managing their RHEL estate. And so as part of the technical assessment, what we do is we give them an efficiency score based on what we've seen. And then we essentially collate all of the information that we've gathered. So all of the information about subscriptions, and we present everything back to the customer. You know, we discuss what remediation might look like, and we give them a set of prioritized recommendations in a timeline, and we prioritize them based on time it would take and the business impact of those. And we also present back an operational efficiency roadmap, so that they can understand how they could do things better. Now, under the covers between all of us, that's obviously based on Red Hat technology and helping us to sell or to upsell through the Red Hat portfolio. And all of that obviously leads on to future product or services sales that you can continue to make margin out of as the owner of the account. So I wanted to take a minute to look at a boilerplate version. So this is a standard version before we kind of do any tweaks. And obviously I've added labels to this one, right? That wouldn't be on a customer one that say sell RHEL for you guys. But I wanted to use this to illustrate to you the further opportunities that this can help you to potentially uncover. So like I said, what we're doing is we're working with a customer to look for signs that they've adopted different practices within the organization. So for example, at the very beginning of the transformation roadmap, have they standardized on a build of RHEL that they use? If not, we can help them start from there. Are they able to properly patch and control these systems? If not, we can help them. We can recommend ways to help them do that, like Red Hat Satellite, for example, and the implementation and adoption of that. And those two things kind of lay the foundation for some of the more transformative projects that customers are looking to do, like DevOps, infrastructure as code, using things like Ansible for that, or moving on to hybrid cloud solutions with containers and OpenShift. To do those things well, they need to have the foundations in place. And the majority of people are at the very beginning of this line. So I hope that what this demonstrates to you is that this can lead to longer term consultative engagements, where you get paid on the additional software and services sales that come out the back of it. So I want to take a moment to just kind of summarize the value of the assessment. And there's kind of two sides to this, right? Like the customer gets some value, but you also receive some value. So the customer gets to build an understanding of what they're using, and for some customers that's huge value in and of itself, right? But that also gives you an understanding of their wider Red Hat estate that you may have currently, or you may be lacking currently, right? The customer is able to limit their liability on any non-compliance and protect themselves from future audits by being deprioritized by Red Hat, while you potentially are able to make some money on any of the right sizing. They're able to reduce the risk of any misconfigured systems. Those misconfigured systems could be causing downtime. They could be exposing security risk because there's a bunch of unknown issues. While you can make money on the remediation services. They also get access to experts that can advise them on those longer term Red Hat specific pieces. While you get a closer, more strategic relationship with the customer that helps you to maintain more margin, along with selling, a roadmap of products and services into the future. So, we're reasonably early on in operating this, right? But I wanted to give you an example of, how this can help you to build revenue and margin within your customers. So we are currently in the middle of carrying out an assessment with a tier 2 insurance company. And what we have found in the technical assessment is a couple of issues in the way they're operating. Several of their applications are posting failures to logs, which could cause potential instability for them. There's a couple of misconfigured items that are potentially causing them security issues. And we've also identified, by looking at their various systems, that there's absolutely no standardization in the way that they operate. So, every time they look at a different server, it operates in a completely different way, which is a giant headache. And that means that they're at the very beginning of that operational efficiency roadmap. that I presented a second ago. And so, in order to fix all of that, in order to do all the remediation and take them through that roadmap, there's a lot of opportunity on the table with this customer. And if they decide to take us up on all of that, then over the next few years, we would have transformed what was just a 10K renewal into nearly 100K of revenue and 18x the margin for you on the opportunity. So in terms of the way that this is delivered, we can be really flexible. You can either white label these, so you can present them as your service, or we can just transact it through you, and you present us as TD Synnex to the customer. Either way that we do it, you remain the owner of the account, right? It's your customer. We carry out all the work remotely. Most of it is automated, and we have security cleared engineers if that's what you need. The service is sold as a prepaid subscription to a service, and that means that it is paid up front, and the customer has got 12 months in which to call off against the service. Now, obviously, with the pilot that we're running, they need to do that piece before the end of March to get the benefit of entering into the compliance assurance program. But if that's not their priority, they can still call off against the rest of it for 12 months. The way that we price the service is based on the number of virtual machines that we anticipate we'll be working with. So a lot of you may have seen options added to quotes recently, and these are priced based on assumptions that we've made based on the subscriptions that we can see. So there's a minimum price of a pretty small amount, 1,250, but pricing generally works out to be around 10% the cost of the RHEL subscriptions. So the way that we engage with a customer is we will start with a kickoff call, and we'll outline everything that they're going to receive, along with helping them to understand the technical requirements in order for us to carry out the service. It's generally relatively simple stuff, like we need remote access, and we need a RHEL machine to work from. Once those requirements have been completed, it would generally take us a week to carry out the analysis for small or medium customers, and then with big customers, things can take longer if they've got a significant number of machines. Then afterwards, we will present back everything to the customer for review and discussion around how they want to move forwards. And post that, we'll share a breakdown of the full details, along with, obviously via the partner involved, formal quotes for doing any of the kind of work involved. So who makes a good candidate for the service? So ideally, it's anyone running more than 10 to 20 RHEL machines, or that translates to 5 to 10 RHEL subscriptions, and that's just to make it kind of commercially viable for everybody, with the kind of minimum price. It's also relevant for anyone who's lacking skills around Linux. There's lots of Windows shops out there who are running RHEL, and they might not have the skills in Linux, meaning that they could have risk that they're unaware of. Very long-standing Red Hat customers are also a very good target, because misconfigurations and risk of stuff accumulates over time, and it's very unlikely that they commonly review those systems to check for that type of thing. Customers with recent acquisitions are a good candidate if they want to get a handle and understand what they own and make sure that who they've bought is in line with the Red Hat terms, along with people who've, if someone's grown very organically if they've grown very organically, they may well be beginning to lose track of what they've got, lose track of how it's configured. Renewal time is a very good time for a conversation to position the value that you can provide to that customer as they look to enter into the next term. Hence, you'll see that on all of our quotes around your renewals, there will be an option for the assessment where it's relevant. And on that point, anyone who's entering a multi-year deal, exiting a multi-year deal, would be a very good candidate, because it is very unlikely that things have changed from 3 years ago. And so it's a good opportunity to make sure that they're running in line with best practices from Red Hat, and that their subscriptions are right-sized. Customers who've also recently been audited, could well be good candidates, because they may well be looking to de-risk things in the future, and we can help them to make sure they're deprioritized by Red Hat. And then finally, customers who are operating in highly regulated industries are good candidates, because they're looking to minimize risk, whether that's risk of downtime, risk of security breaches, or risk of any potential non-compliance. So I hope that was all useful information, and that you can see the value for both your customer and you in offering the excuse me, the RHEL Estate Assessment. So as a call to action, speak to your customers about the assessment. Megan Butler is following up with all of you on your renewals where it's relevant, and she's sending you collateral, and it would be good for you to review that and share the collateral with your customers. Excuse me. But we're also looking at running a customer focused version of this, presenting to customers what their value is on the 5th of February. So I will share I'll share a link to the registration page for that, and please share that with anyone who you think this would be valuable to, if you're happy presenting it as TD Synnex rather than yourself. And so I guess with that, thank you everybody for your time. I really do appreciate it. And I'd like to open it up for questions. Let me have a look in the chat if anyone's posted anything while I've been talking. I'll give you 2-3 minutes just to have time to type your question out. Don't be shy, please. Or even comments. I'd love to hear comments on if you think this is a valuable service for your customers, if it's something that you think you could position to them, and if not, why not? Is it something that we can tweak with the pilot? Yes, Mandy, there is collateral available. So for all of the renewals that this is relevant for, Megan Butler from TD Synnex is following up on every single one of those, and what she's doing is sending you 2 pieces of collateral. There is one piece that is suitable for you and your account managers, explaining what it is and what the benefits to you are. And there is also one piece that is sent as a Word document that you can either brand as yourself, or you can send it as TD Synnex. So we send it as a Word document to give the option. If anybody wants a copy of that and hasn't had it yet, let me know, and I can share it. Can you expand on what deprioritize for audit means? Yes, I will give my view, and then Dan, I'd be interested if you could also help expand on that. So my view is essentially that Red Hat does not want to waive the right to audit a customer. However, if they have done the assessment, it is highly unlikely that they will be audited, only if something happens that looks like they're massively taking the mick, right? I don't know, Dan, if you want to expand on that a bit more.
No, I think you've pretty much hit that on the head. The right to audit is separate to obviously the scheme which is we're talking about here. So we're not removing the right to audit, that remain. However, the routine audits that we perform as Red Hat, ultimately the customer won't be on that routine list for audits as part of this process. That's what deprioritization means, but we reserve the right, should we see something that raises a red flag, to be able to perform a view.
Cool. Are you able to provide a dumb report of the RHEL assessment? Yes. If anyone wants a copy of an anonymized report, I am happy to share a copy. You're welcome to also share it with your customers so that they can see what it is that they're going to be getting. Are you running this pilot? Yes, this is via skilled partners. They have gone through an onboarding process with TD Synnex, meaning that they are validated to the nth degree. So they have all of the relevant certifications. The way that you engage is via TD Synnex. So I will, I'll pop my email address in the chat. And if you want to discuss any opportunities, feel free to reach out to me. We can hop on a call and discuss it in more detail with you or salespeople, or even support you on a customer call if that's what you'd like to do. What does the automated discovery of a RHEL estate look like? Tool used agent-based. So the tool is a specialized tool. It is based on Ansible. So it is agentless, and the way that it works is basically based on pulling reports from various different locations, so either from machines directly or via different APIs that are exposed. So, for example, a VMware API or cloud APIs. So completely agentless. A copy of the report would be great. Yep, I can make sure a copy of the report is sent out. Cool. Any other questions? I'll give it a second to see if we've got any last minute, and if not, we'll wrap up. Okay, cool. Thank you everybody so much for your time. What we'll do is we'll follow up with everybody who registered. I'll send out a copy of the recording. Feel free to share it with anybody who you think this might have been useful for. I'll share a copy of the slides and the registration link for the customer-focused webinar on the 5th of February. With that, I think we've come to a close. So thank you everybody so much for your time. My email address is in the chat if you want to reach out to talk about any opportunities or any customers you think this might be relevant for. See you later.